I weigh exactly the same in this picture as I do in this picture, and that's why the scales, they don't matter as much as you think they do. This video is going to go through why weighing yourself is exactly like weighing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is an analogy I heard from Broderick Chavez of Evil Genius GSP, and I had to put this into a video. It's insanely easy to understand, it's so digestible, and not to mention it's unforgettable. Like, peanut butter jelly sandwich, weighing yourself, what? It hardly makes sense, but when you break it down, it really does. And this is exactly why, because let's think about it. Let's say you've got a scale and you've got your ingredients to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. You weigh your bread, you know how much your bread weighs. You weigh your jelly, your jam, if you're in the UK like me. You know how much your jam weighs, you spread it on. You get your peanut butter, you weigh that out, you spread it on. You put your sandwich together, and now you know how much peanut butter, how much jam, and how much bread is in your sandwich. However, if you take that same sandwich and now give it to somebody else and ask them how much it weighs, they can tell you how much the sandwich weighs, but they can't tell you how much the jam weighs. They can't tell you how much of it is peanut butter and how much of it is bread. They just have a sandwich and a weight of that sandwich, not what's inside that sandwich. And that is exactly what your scales are telling you. Every time you step on them, they're not telling you how much muscle, how much fat, how much water. They're telling you this is how much your sandwich weighs, not how much is in it. And don't give me that bullshit about your bloody bioimpedance scales that tell you your body fat percentage and your muscle mass. They are a bad guess. In the very best situation, they are nowhere near accurate. I'm sorry if you didn't realise that. So every time you step on the scale, you are getting limited information. You step on and it tells you your weight and then your body fat and whatever, if you choose to believe it. But you don't know how much of that weight is water, how much is bone, how much is muscle, how much is food weight in your stomach, how much is literally shit. And that is exactly why your scale, it can tell you some things, just not a lot of things. So does that mean that I'm saying that weighing yourself on a scale is pointless? No, absolutely not. I and my clients weigh ourselves every single day in most cases, and then take an average and stuff like that. So it's not that weighing yourself isn't useful, it's about understanding the uses of it and where it isn't useful, and then breaking it down rather than living solely on that number. So now we're going to talk about some of the best uses for a scale, where a scale will actually tell you what you need to know. And the first one is going to be general population fat loss. This person typically has 20 to 30 pounds of fat to lose. They can lose weight fast. They're not really fussed about muscle mass and retaining muscle. They're not going for physique shots and to look like an Instagrammer. They just want to lose some fat and be healthier and fit into some smaller clothes. And for these people, they can lose weight and fat at a rate that will be more than visible on a scale. So yes, for these people, weighing yourselves is a very, very good proxy of whether you're getting closer to your goals or not. And the other good use for a scale where it's actually a very applicable tool would be when you need to rapidly gain weight for a medical reason. Severe cases of eating disorders or after an accident or something like that. Sometimes you need to gain weight fast. It doesn't matter if it's muscle, if it's fat, if it's water, you just need to be a heavier person. And in that situation, the scale, it can tell you a lot. If you are medically underweight and it is killing you, your doctor doesn't care about how lean you look. He just needs you to be heavier. And now on the flip side, we're going to talk about some of the worst uses for the scale. And the first one is going to be for a physique competitor, a bodybuilder, when you're getting close to stage. Because when you are 2 weeks away from your competition, the rate of weight loss that you are going to be experiencing is going to be so slow that a scale basically tells you nothing. What will tell you so much more in that situation is how you look in the mirror. Because when you are that lean, when you are absolutely peeled to the bone, a tiny amount of weight loss can actually make quite a visible difference in how you look. But on the scale, it's not going to tell you anything. And the scary thing is, if you're that close to a show and you are that peeled, that shredded, and the scale is dropping a lot, then unfortunately that's not going to be fat, because you don't have a lot of fat to lose. That is going to be muscle, and that is scary. Another really bad use for the scale is if you're new to the gym or returning or something like that, you're a beginner and you're trying to go through a phase of body recomposition. That's where you go through a phase of building muscle, losing fat and maintaining your weight all at the same time. Yes, it's the dream, but we're not going to go into that today. But by nature, it means that your weight is not changing. It might fluctuate a little bit up, a little bit down, but within this bracket, your weight is going to stay still. So all the scale is going to tell you that you're not eating too little, you're not eating too much. It's useful, but it's not that useful. And as we discussed, the information that the scale gives you on your fat percentage and your muscle percentage is pretty close to useless, or if not useless, to be honest. It does a better job at telling you what your momentary hydration levels are, and it's so just not accurate. So don't even give me that one. So by nature, with a goal of body recomposition, your weight is going to be staying the same, so your scale really isn't going to be telling you anything that is that useful. You're just weighing a peanut butter jelly sandwich. And unfortunately, the scale is also pretty underwhelming when it comes to muscle gain. Yes, it's important to ensure that you are in a steady, small and consistent calorie surplus, which the scale can tell you, because if it's slowly, reliably increasing, then you are probably in a slow, reliable and steady, consistent calorie surplus. However, the nature of muscle gain is so incredibly slow that what you see on the scale, it's not telling you anything in terms of how much muscle you're actually building, or if you're literally just sat there getting fatter. Let's say that you gain ½ pound of muscle per month. That is good. That is 6 pounds in a year. I would kill. After 5.5 years of training, I would kill for 6 pounds of muscle in a year. ½ pound of muscle per month is 0.26 ounces of muscle per day. 0.26 ounces. That's 7 grams. 7 grams of muscle per day. Can weighing yourself on a scale tell you that? Fuck no. Absolutely not. No, it can't. No chance. So all of this being said, the scale is still a great tool, and as long as you're using it correctly, it can give you some reliable and important data that's going to keep you ticking in the right direction. But there are some best practices to be aware of. You'd be surprised how many clients have come to me making big mistakes for a long time when it comes to the scales, and that's given them readings that they can't or shouldn't be trusting. Firstly, I think this has been said more than enough times, but it still happens. You have to be weighing yourself at the same time or close to every day under the same conditions. The same clothes or lack of, the same bowel movements or lack of, the same hydration or lack of. It needs to be as close to the same, because if one day you're weighing yourself in the morning, one day you're weighing yourself in the evening, things are going to change and it's not telling you the reliable, consistent information that you actually need. The other thing I'd say is to take daily averages. So weigh yourself every single day, then add it up, look at the end of the week average rather than the day-to-day fluctuations. That is going to make for much more reliable information. Alongside that, I would then take your weekly averages and turn them into monthly averages so that you can look at your weight over months. This is even more important if you're in a muscle gain phase, because the rate of weight gain that you should be experiencing is so slow. Looking at over a month is just a better bet in most cases. I would then say to only ever make adjustments on 2 weeks of information. You shouldn't be changing your calories or your training or your cardio based on 1 or 2 weigh-ins. You want at least a 2-week average to look at before you make any changes, because 2-3 days a week doesn't actually tell you a lot. And the last best practice for the scale is not to let it ruin your day. The amount of times I've had clients in person and online where their whole day, their whole mood has just been destroyed by a weigh-in or a couple of consistent weigh-ins where they've been a bit bloated. It happens a lot for women because of the menstrual cycle. It's not that serious. It's really not that serious. You are just a jam sandwich. People see how you look. They don't see how much you weigh. You're not walking around seeing that person's 76 kilograms today instead of 75. What a fatty. Like, that doesn't happen. If the scale goes up a pound, you look the same. don't let it ruin your day. There's probably a very good reason for why the scale went up. You just don't realise it, because it might be you drank a bit of extra water the day before, or you haven't been to the toilet as much as you did yesterday. These things happen, don't let it ruin your day, and remember, you are a peanut butter jelly sandwich.